Oh, Duo Lif, you stat stacking, bulky ass, auto doubling, damage reduction countering, pain in the ass. I don't know what's more annoying, how powerful you can be, or the fact I left your banner with 300 hits and not a single copy. Part of IS's initiative to beat people with something for units with anti-damage reduction abilities. This will never give us one for
fool.
Okay, they did, but okay still. Lif's main strength isn't even the damage reduction. It's how deceptively tanky and powerful he is, combined with his auto-doubling ability when he's within a generous 3 spaces of an ally. He's nothing special in ARO. He has a funny dual skill, I guess, but trying to take his ass on ARD, where the number one strategy is tanking, makes him an entirely different beast, one of the best tank busters in the game potentially. But there are some tips to dealing with him that might give you more confidence versus him. Sit down and get ready to destroy a marriage. Okay, so to talk about Lif, let's give the 3 scenarios where I think he's among the most effective, and then work our way down from there. 1 is a frontline unit, probably as a rally or restore receiver, or even a 7th unit dance receiver. These are dangerous, not just for their normal reasons, but because the units moving in front of him will make sure his weapon is activated. 2 is the rallier, aka he is coming in from the back to be the 4 unit and rallying someone else. Depending on the layout, this could give a similar effect and activate his weapon too. And finally is the cav line. You probably know what these maps do. 4 ranged calves or so, all in a line, meant to apply such annoying pressure on turn 1 they can crumble unprepared players. Let's hone in on the traps for now. Lif is best utilized in combination with AI traps. He makes for a great backline, so he's harder to snipe and hits hard. But at the same time, a frontline version has a large range that makes them hard to approach and can be troublesome if restore or 7th unit traps are in play. So, the best thing to do is to not let his friends support him. It's time to talk about isolation and gravity. You gotta shut down those shenanigans. If Lif is supported to receive help from a friend, throwing a debuff at them either turns their assists off or limits their mobility. And that can either turn off a trap or even keep Lif in the back once you start a map to leave him in an awkward spot or make him easy to snipe. When Lif is a frontliner, it becomes a lot safer to bait him now when a rally restore unit is isolated. Chances are, his weapon can't activate because he'll be too far away from an ally, which makes him far less spooky. Something to note though, restore can ungravity Lif, and ground orders can act as a check gravity as well, so keep these in mind. Also, odd recovery or Sarah can get in the way of this plan, so make sure to always check skills and consider your smartest option. Now, there are only 3 units who can do these things. Mila and Bride Fjorn for isolation, and Loki for gravity. A tactics room can do gravity, but I don't really recommend running offense buildings in this day and age. Besides bonus, Mila is a pain in my fucking ass in late season, and she'll practically always outdefense Lif unless the ARD players go in sicko mode. Fjorm and Loki should have no problems out HPing him also. But it's always the best idea to buff up the relevant stats as much as possible, by the way, as defense and HP stacking units like dancers is a common ARD strat to avoid those. If you happen to have access to these units, you should always have a spare team with your favorite carry running them as your support, because sometimes locking down units will do you more wonders. They're also best friends with hit and run units like Reinhardt, Lif, Lynja, since they could provide crucial space to get in and start blasting. If you can safely hit a 4 unit, such as by using these supports or seeing a smart opening, maybe the defense has a crucial flaw in their AI traps. You can probably avoid or snipe the Lif altogether and start cleaning up on following turns. I feel like being able to pull this off would be the most consistent way of dealing with Lif. Drawing him out of his cave to take him down on your teams and essentially avoid playing into the map gets around his biggest strength. Being able to snipe his friends that come out first, then take him out later, can also be great, especially versus teams that have Lif but don't really utilize any traps or such. Okay, now to talk about cav lines. You really have to look out for if the cav line has a trap on it itself first, in which case there are similar counterplay options via isolation and gravity. If the team has no trap, then rejoice, because Lif will not activate his weapon unless you are dual baiting or bring another cav down first and you can't kill it. If you aren't sure how to deal with cav lines, then to sum it up, deny their pressure, and ways you can do this include using as few offense buildings as possible, running more than 1 tank out on team to try and take out 2 units at one turn, or bring in anti-cav checks like a Micaiah or an Ulsi tank who can guarantee a kill versus the faster, bulkier healers. Let's say the foe is odd recovery ducked. Cat! Let's say the foe is odd recovery ducked and you can't stop their Lif sanity. If you have to tank him when his weapon's active, or if you just really want to take him anyway, NFU, NFU, and NFU. Sure, Lif gets a ton of stats. Sure, he's got some anti-damage reduction tech. But what's really the strength here, in my humble and completely modest opinion, is that auto double. He already naturally hits super hard, so a free double is devastating to tons of tanks who are trying to eat his damage up. So, you gotta stop him, and NFU is the key. Let's take this matchup quick between Lynja, a high-res blue tank, and Lif with weapon active. When Lif attacks into her, when she's using, let's say, a null C set, with no buffs or debuffs on Lif. Ah! Stop! With no buffs or debuffs on Lif, he will leave Lynja at 1 HP before dying, which is insane damage against one of the best blue tanks in the game, especially one fit for fighting mages. However, replace null C with NFU and now Lynja's at a much healthier HP threshold. That said, even denying his double can leave him super bulky and survive anyway, which could be problematic. The tanks that will have a better matchup and can afford NFU are the best bet against it. Bringing debuffs also helps, so you can lower his attack and defense. It should not surprise you that blue units work the best. Not to mention, cav effective units will suffice very nicely, such as the OG Nakaya. She does very well versus him, even at +1 with something as inexpensive as Mirror Stance 2. You know who else could beat him? Rai. I think your best bets, besides literally any cav effective unit, are ranged tanks with NFU. They can afford a stat boosting A slot that can secure a kill or mitigate Lif's damage. Like Lynja before, any good ranged tank, especially a high-res mage, deals with him fairly well when given good support. Since he does well versus speed tanks, it's not usually the best B slot for him, unsurprisingly. So that's why it's nicer to get more creative and use someone who's more specialized for fighting a ranged unit such as him. Or you could just use Bector. This dude sucks in Arena the most. He's actually a nuisance to fight. You'll counter him in 2 ways. 1, he's up front in his team. You can bait him and life is easy. His weapon probably won't work and you'll figure out the rest from there. 2, God hates you, personally, and put him on the backline. Trick 1 is getting him away from his allies. This is harder said than done, obviously. But if he ends up ahead of his friends, then baiting him without his weapon active is always a play. A lot of blue units you might be using who can hit back can probably take him on. If not, at least just get the bait and kill on the follow-up. But seriously, your number 1 strat should be to get him away ASAP. He's even capable of taking on the best blue legendaries when he's active. This is where AI knowledge can be really helpful as well. If you happen to run a ranged unit in Arena, you have the potential to lock certain enemies in place who have rally just by using your danger area yourself, forcing some backliners to move forward in front of their allies. This strategy is really helpful versus dancers too, by the way, as units rallying in place force the dancer to just dance in place, and the rally unit doesn't get to move very far. If Lif is far enough behind an ally, then he won't be in your ranged unit's range, meaning he becomes the front runner while the other guys just rally each other in the corner. Now he's safe for debate. And if you just want to say fuck it, and if you, baby, if you have to be cruising with a B-Dual Infantry 4 Lynja, there's no problem here. And of course, other B-Dual mages, you will appreciate it. Did you build Winter Felix? Odd or even follow up on the right turns, of course, will stop Lif's double. It's an effective NFU in this regard, if Felix is strong enough to take him down. If you use Legendary Crom, run NFU, and throw an attack speed solo 4 in there if you really want other people to hate you. The Meiji Core might one-shot him, even with his weapon active, but it's also much safer to take him out of range. That's kind of it, I think. Lif is really obnoxious here, but the biggest issue comes from map layouts more than anything. You kinda need to play him carefully and try to get his stupid idiot AI to come out of fighting so you have a safer time versus him. That's easier said than done, I know, but when his weapon just does a lot of wacky shit and gives him the ability to power through some units who should be able to beat him, there isn't a much more succinct solution as, turn his weapon off, dummy. Alright, that's all I got for you today. I hope you took something out of it. This is probably going to be a shorter video, and I think I like the idea of more shorter videos for these kind of things. I don't think every unit needs 20 minutes of just telling you how to beat them. I think most are more straightforward to explain than I think, and it's also just better to explain stuff like, here's how you beat them gameplay wise, rather than throwing a bunch of units at you that you can look up on your own, right? And that's basically the thing. Beating Lif is also just more about beating what he's around, what's kind of like he's put into, rather than beating him himself. You know, AI traps, arena maps, team order, those are the things that make him harder than his weapon, which, you know, don't get me wrong, is still a difficult weapon to fight, but it's very map dependent, it's very team dependent. Lif kind of takes these things like AI traps to new levels, but the overall game knowledge will help you beat him in ways that are more relevant and more easier to understand, I guess. I'm sorry, I'm not reading the script for this. If you like my video, then please leave a like and leave a comment if you want to leave any feedback or kind of talk about your experiences or units you like to use, or even units that you want to see in a video or something, I don't know. Subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I hope you all have a great day.